Welcome everyone! We all know that sacrificing pieces to give checkmate is the most fun you can have in chess, and that's how I know you're going to like this puzzle. This is from a game between Alexander Riazantsev and Konstatin Aseev, played in St. Petersburg in 2002. It's white to play and win. You already know what you need to be looking for, but just pause the video and take the time you need. The first move is probably the nicest move to play in chess. We sacrifice our queen with queen f6 check. Now black has to accept the sacrifice, otherwise queen h8 is checkmate. So knight takes queen. White does get some material back after pawn takes f6 check. Now everything loses, but let's check out all of black's options. If king to h6, then after pawn takes rook g8 and rook takes f7, there's a mate threat on h7, and if black tries rook g7 to block out the rook, then the simplest is to just trade on g7 and then go bishop to c8, cutting off the queen and threatening to promote. Black's best is to just take that piece, but after e8 equals queen, white's planning a mate in 2 after queen f7 and winning that pinned bishop, so white is winning quickly here. If instead king to g8, then first again pawn takes rook, rook e8 and rook takes f7. Now if black does nothing, then white will go rook from c to f2 and mating after rook f8. So let's say queen to d6, but then rook e2 is also deadly. Now white wants to go rook to e6, attacking the queen and threatening to crash through on g6. Black is hopeless if now, for example, bishop c6, then rook to e6, and black's best is actually to sack the queen for the e-pawn, because if black doesn't, then rook g6 check, king h8, and rook h7 is checkmate. Now black's final choice is king to h8, and now we see something similar happening. Pawn takes rook, rook e8, rook takes f7. Now white is threatening with rook h7 check and bishop to e6 mate. If black again tries queen to d6, then again rook to e2 to e6 is possible, but this time we go bishop e6. Now rook h7 would be checkmate. Now again with queen takes, black should last the longest, but after rook c7, again checkmate is coming, so the queen has to go, but after rook takes queen, rook takes bishop and knight takes rook, it's of course dead lost for black. If therefore the more reasonable looking move rook takes e7, then we have a nice mate in 8 to end the puzzle. You can again pause the video if you like. Here it goes. Rook f8 check, king g7, rook g8 check, king to h6. Now the king is forced back with rook h8 check, and after king g7, rook h7 check, king f8, the second rook comes in with check, and when the king goes to e8, then rook h8 is checkmate. Very, very nice. We all love our queen sacrifices. Remember, it doesn't matter what goes off the board, it matters what stays on the board. And as you've seen, white had more than enough to finish the black king off. So let me know in the comments how you did. If you enjoyed the video, you do me a big favor by simply liking the video. It's that simple. And do consider subscribing to the channel. I'll be seeing you guys again soon, and take care.